Aloha, my name's Anna Covert, and I'm coming to you from my battleship here on the beautiful island of Oahu.
Mm.
This week on the Covert Code, the topic is Dare to Care in the Workplace. And I'm pleased to introduce Kathleen Quinn Votaw, CEO of TalenTrust and a fellow Forbes author. She
Mm.
recently published Dare to Care in the Workplace. Kathleen is a well sought out public speaker and expert in workplace strategies and corporate cultural transformations. Her expertise is regularly featured on sites including Fox, NBC, CBS, among many others. Known for her insights into HR strategies and workplace culture, Kathleen has helped countless organizations foster people centered, exclusive workplaces where employees feel protected, motivated, and happy. So, thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me, and I wish I was with you in Hawaii. Sitting on top of a mountain in Conifer, Colorado, and it's cold.
Oh, you're from Colorado? I'm originally from Aspen.
Well, you know what I mean by cold.
I do, and I was so happy to never have to scrape a car windshield ever again by being here in Hawaii.
You are a smart woman.
Yes. So to get us started here, tell us a little bit about Talent Trust and, your professional journey. How did your vision begin and how has it kind of transformed since you started the company?
Oh, that's a big question. So I started my company in 2003, Talent Trust. I actually started with a little company called Denver Executive Search because you know what? I was fired from my big corporate job, which was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I was set free to be the maverick I always was. Thank you, all you leaders who really tried to lead me. It just was never going to happen. Um, and so I was set loose to really help companies close the gap between employer and employees. And between the first couple of years, first 9 years, I'd say, was me, myself, and I, a whole party of three. And then our company started to grow, and I added some wonderful people to help me grow the organization. We focus on solving the people puzzle. So the title of the book is kind of is really indicative of what we do. So people want to always put us in a box. Oh, you're recruiters. Oh, you're consultants. Oh, you're this. Well, yes, and we look at the entire continuum of the employee experience within a company and where we can help that journey be the best it possibly can be from cradle to grave. So all the way from when they, select to interview you till the time it's time to say goodbye. And sometimes it is time to say goodbye. So, we love the work that we do. I have 16 people on my team that follow me into uncertainty every day. We've won the Inc. 5000 a couple times, so that was really fun and gotten many, many accolades. But the most fulfilling thing that we do is help companies really get to the other side of um, really putting their people first finally.
Yeah, that's really important. So, how do you guide companies to adopt this people-centered approach?
Well, we look the first thing we do is we do what we call a talent acquisition audit, Anna. Anna or Anna? Anna?
Anna is what I prefer.
Anna. Okay, Anna. You got to ask these questions.
Yeah, why I respond to either though. So,
Yes, either, neither, neither. We should do that.
potato, potato.
So we start with the talent acquisition audit. Because, it's like when you go to the doctor, they diagnose what's going on. You're either, your blood pressure's too high, you need to gain weight, you need to lose weight, you need to exercise, whatever. We give our clients a report card based on where they are in their employee experience journey. So in order to do that, the company has to be very brave to let us look under the hood of what the reality is. And there's always this gap between the leader and the executive team and what the employees are really experiencing. And our job is just to close that gap a little bit. We're not looking for perfection because perfection doesn't exist, but we're looking for excellence. And we diagnose things like employment brand. Who are you to the universe out there? Because we live in a digital world, right?
Yes.
What is your footprint digitally to those people you want to attract, millennials, Gen Zs, dare I say boomers, because they're boomeranging back into the workplace because they're bored. They thought they wanted to retire, but wouldn't you want a half of a boomer instead of nobody at all, right? So,
Yes.
how to actually attract and what is your image you're putting out there to these very distinct audiences. Then once you do that, how do you build a pipeline of those qualified people? And qualified is a tricky word. Qualified based on your corporate values is the first thing to look at. And then how do you pre-screen for selection? Not hiring, it's a distinction. How are you gonna select somebody to join your organization and make sure they're gonna fit and thrive and feel successful, right? For everybody involved. Then what does the interview look like? Once you offer them the job, what do you do with them? What does pre-boarding look like? Onboarding look like? What community are you trying to build? Then when is it time to say goodbye? I call it the compassionate exit. Sometimes people are sitting in the gray. They're like, I don't love it. I don't like it. I'm kind of indifferent. Uh, and a lot of people are sitting there and they don't know how to leave. So leaders must recognize when it's time to have that compassionate, fierce, intimate conversation and say, "Are you feeling successful? Because I'm not. I don't think you are."
Right. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I also kind of struggle with that too, because, at least in my agency, we have, I have remote workers all over the world. And so there is that, we were trying to create it's still the team collaboration while being virtual, right? But, and people wear many hats. And some, I always think about that, like the idea of the Peter principle of, so they might be doing really great at one thing, but is that enough? Or are they looking for something more? Right.
Mm.
And because then you don't want them to be unsuccessful at trying something and feeling they're failing. And then that kind of trickles into everything that they do.
Exactly, and it's having regular and often conversations with people because I'm sure you found it changes.
Yeah.
I just literally before I'm chatting with you, I chatted with a tenured employee. She's been with me 10 years plus. And the conversation was around certainly productivity, but it was also about how does this fit your life right now? How does it fit your family? Because, spoiler alert, the reason people go to work is to support their family, whatever their definition of a family is. It could be the classic definition, it could be, their fur babies, whatever it is.
Right.
They want to support the life and the people that they love. And is it fitting your family? So, your point of, are they trying something and failing? And is it okay to fail in the organization without, um, consequences? Or if I try something and I fail, what are the consequences? And is there enough transparency so people will at least try?
Right. Yeah. That's really true, and I think that's also another thing that I've experienced with some. I do a lot of solar work, as you can see. I'm a big solar lover. This is my house here and
Mm.
my system. But as the markets change or industries change, and the solar industry in particular has been going through, we call it the solar coaster, very rocky changes, and with that, we're seeing that team members or solar consultants that were old school. They've been around forever. They were leaders really at the organization. Now are being asked to change, use new technology. Now we have new STC guidelines, change process, not use a regular phone, use an approved number. And there's been a lot of pushback, right? And and kind of, is that the time where it's like, well, if you're not willing to change with the times, then this is maybe not the right thing for you, and getting
Yes.
leadership to agree.
Well, and it's that theory, adapt or die, right? I mean, I'm 58 years old, and when I was growing up, there was 3 channels on a TV. 3.
Yeah.
There was nothing called, the internet. There was no digital marketing. There was it was are you kidding? So, those of us who adapted to, the DOS system, which was one of the first computer systems out there, and tried new things, we survived and indeed thrived through it. And those people who will say, "No, I'm not going to participate," I think it's a choice, it's a decision, and I respect it. I don't understand it because I'm a continuous learner. I'm very curious, like AI right now. I mean, oh my gosh,
Oh my gosh.
you can't sit down without hearing about artificial intelligence. The robots have come, they've arrived, right?
And they're incredible.
Oh, amazing. And but there's so many applications, right? Who's making money from AI yet? Mm, I don't know. Um, Microsoft, yes. Thank you, Microsoft.
They're the one clapping the loudest. That's always who you look for, right?
Exactly, they're cheering on. But how are other people monetizing it? I'm not quite sure yet. I think it's enabling great research, great, collaboration, streamlining some processes and systems, certainly. But is it the holy grail? I don't think so. But if you bury your head in the sand and say, "Oh, I'm not gonna adapt to AI. I'm not even gonna try. I'm scared of it." I think some of it is driven by fear. You're gonna get left in the dust. Be curious. You don't have to go all in, but at least be curious. And I say to audiences all the time, because I'm a speaker and obviously I have 2 books, um, many people who we want to come into our companies, they're hanging out digitally. They're not hanging out physically anymore. So you need people to serve your customers, and you have to go where they are. And where are they hanging out? They're hanging out on Insta. Aren't I cool, Hannah? Anna? I said Insta, not Instagram.
I love
Um,
it. Very trendy.
they're not hanging out on LinkedIn. It's very passe for the millennials and Gen Zs. Women of a certain age are on Facebook. Men are on YouTube all the time. They're all over YouTube. And there's a whole generation of TikTokers. And so, would you ever say to your customer who you're trying to sell your products and services to, I'm not going to participate I'm not going to come to your conference. I'm not going to read your business journals. I'm not going to read your business books. I'm not going to participate digitally because, I just don't believe in it.
Right.
Chances are the answer to that is no, because you want people to buy your stuff, your products and services. So, why is there this barrier to reaching our audience, our target high value candidate audience through digital media? I don't understand it. And it's that what we talked about, like that adapt or die, like where's the audience? And you have to go get them. And in your solar world, if they won't change their cell phone, really, like, come on.
Well, and I think, so that's what my book's all about digital marketing, right? And how to protect from fraud because there's just so much of it, right? And by the end of this year, we're set to spend 10 billion in digital fraud, from the bots and did you know that every single day there are 250,000 new websites that go online? That's 175 a minute, and of all that traffic, half is fake. But one of the things that I like to talk about is, and I think it's really interesting because my experience, I also, I'm 41, but I didn't, I got my first computer at 8, but I'm dyslexic, and that was kind of the bridge for me of being able to equal the playing field of being able to, use spell check and read my own handwriting and, use Excel and these other tools that level the playing field for me. And so my experience has always been a lot different. And hearing one of the objections that I hear a lot is, "Oh, that I'm just not that technical." Well, and that's not an excuse anymore. We all must be able to use these tools or we'll be taken advantage of. And I'm not saying that you have to create the campaign, but you have to know what it means, right? And how to evaluate the success or you'll be on a chopping block. And I thought that it was really interesting that, now, and I'm interested in your feedback because when I was first, I've had my own agency for, almost 15 years, but I remember back when we would get jobs, there was like a test you'd have to take, a competency test for online or for computers, I should say. Excel, can you use Microsoft Word? And then that kind of made it so that, we could all work together and share information. But it seems like that's not what I'm hearing is best practice now. Like companies aren't choosing to have these basic trainings or studies. And as a result, even kids that we think are young or these Gen Zs, they actually have very little computer knowledge. And what is your experience with that?
Well, I think your comment, "I'm not technically inclined," is a funny one because my 91-year-old mother has an Apple phone and an iPad. So, if she can do it, every single one of us can do it. So,
Right.
and she didn't think she was technically inclined, and she just loves her iPad. So, there is, um there is less of a trend in testing for some basic skills, and I think that is a, problem because we make assumptions, and you know the definition of making assume, I'm thinking. Most of us do, and it's not a good one. So, assumptions when you're selecting for your company is a danger zone. So, having some, work product experience with someone, even as simple of, "Could you send me an email?" Email communication, you will be shocked at how inappropriate or nobody knows how to do headers or commas or footers or paragraphs.
Or it's all underlined and capped, and you're like screaming at someone through the computer.
Yeah, or it's all emojis.
Right. Oh god.
So communicating on this thing, I'm holding up my cell phone. Communicating in a text in abbreviated, kind of syncopated conversation, that's a different mode of communication. Email, different mode. It requires writing skills. You and I are both writers. We're probably horrified at how some emails come through to you. Written form is lost. Marcom is just lost. TED Talks have gone from 15 minutes to 8 to 7 minutes now. It's like we have changed. There's so many ways to now communicate. I hear people referring to texting as a conversation with a human. So I always ask, did you actually talk to a live person? You know, because we say, well, I told her. And so I told her or I told him, you sent a text, you sent a Teams, you emailed. When you communicate, you want to make sure somebody receives.
That's right.
That's the other half of communication. Just because you said it doesn't mean it was received. And how is it
The
received?
how is it received? That's exactly it.
The
Well,
how.
also a good thing, I own an advertising agency, and I think one of the things that we've seen evolve is that people are reading and not hearing as much.
Yeah.
And when you hear something, it changes everything.
Absolutely. Well, the spoken word is different than the written word. When you're in a digital world, you see things differently. Some people can't read on an iPad or any kind of, technical program, screen. Some people are like, oh my God, I need my book. And I think it's the tactile, how it smells and, the experience of it or where they are. There's so many different ways. I had a good old fashioned phone call this morning. Literally, just she called on the phone and we had a 15-minute meeting and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is the way we used to do it." We used to just make a phone call and talk to each other. It was delightful. Like we're talking to each other. Yes, it's through Zoom, but we're actually looking at each other and we're, 85 to 95% of communication is nonverbal.
That's right.
And so if you lose that, if we lose that, we're gonna lose so much because it's so fun to see you standing on top of your roof and the view, and all I wanna do is go get my paddle and my Starbucks and go paddling with you right now.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, and then on that note of communication, I wanna revisit one of the topics you talked about, which is AI, right? And in the workplace. And, do we have you been seeing, I guess, trends on I'm sure people think that they're gonna be replaced, right? And is that one of the reasons why they are not interested or motivated to try it? And, what are your thoughts on how to, help motivate people to not feel like their job's being removed?
Great point of view. There's nothing to fear but fear itself, truly. And those who adapt to the technology will survive and thrive. So if you are fearful of something, I say move into it.
Yeah.
I say don't shy away from it. Be the subject matter expert in your department in new technology. Embrace the change versus fight the change. Um, AI may enhance and change the workforce. I believe it's going to. Look at Walmart. Walmart is, and Amazon, they're using robots to pick and pack. That used to be a really very physical person job. They rode the, forklift and they'd go and they'd find it and they pick. Now that has been automated in many larger organizations. But they still need people to manage the robots.
Yes.
They still need people to make sure the customer has received, see the theme here, received the goods or services. Those are not going to go away. What technology like AI can do is enhance the job so you can learn and grow. We worked with a great company called DCP Midstream and oil and gas company, great leaders. They were acquired by Phillips Conoco, I believe. Um, and they, believed in giving anybody who wanted it an opportunity to learn and upgrade their skills any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Wow.
So if you were working on an oil drill and you were a fracker or you're driving a truck, you had the opportunity to learn how to be a mechanic. You had an opportunity to learn how to run the technology behind it. You could sign up for courses to add skills on top of your current skills so you the person could grow and it was self-selected. Now there's always going to be a percentage of people who just they don't want to.
Right.
They don't make me do that. I call those tuna fish sandwich people. They want their tuna fish sandwich at 11:30, and then at 11:45 they go for a walk. At noon they get back to work and they leave at 4 o'clock. And don't pressure me to do more. We all need those. They're foot soldiers. I call them tuna fish sandwich people. They have the same tuna fish sandwich every day with an apple, and they're done. And they really work for their family, not you. And then there's a group of people who really want more and create an opportunity for those people who want more. You cannot motivate someone to do something they don't want to do. But what you can as a company, as a leader, is provide a path to more knowledge for those who want it. That you can never force someone to reach forward if they just don't want to. And I hear that a lot, like, how can we upskill these people? Well, who wants to be? And one more point on this, I was in North Dakota 2 weeks ago, right before Thanksgiving. Great company. And they're really worried about, this construction company, they're worried about upskilling their team and they want to give them knowledge. So I recommended that make it an application process. Don't force them into training they don't want, but have those who want it apply because that's the first step in going, hey, Anna actually wants to learn more. She wants to grow, and then build a curriculum around that person.
That's really nice. I like that a lot. And it's also then you can always be also accepted into the program. And that makes you feel good. It's a reward mechanism of the
Yeah.
dopamine, right? Yeah. That's cool. The curiosity. I'm reading this great book about behavioral science, and they say that, curiosity or the idea of new is one of those, immediate ways to trigger a dopamine response to the brain because we're curious. And that's from back when we were hunter gatherers and learning new things. So I think that's really, really cool. So talk to us a little bit about your book, Dare to Care in the Workplace. What was the motivation behind it, and your idea of caring leadership is a ever evolving topic. What can people learn in the book?
Oh, there's 4 little chapters. It's kinda like a workbook. It's a very consumable book, and it's to be read with your employees. You can read it by yourself, but I think it's more powerful when you read it with your employees and figure out what's my job in this world of work and in our relationship together, and what's your role? Because when you care about somebody, it means you have a relationship. And let's face it, we have a relationship in the workplace with the people we work with. Stop hiding from it. And in the book, we talk about leading with empathy. And that's a tricky one. Everybody's empathy's a hot button word right now. It's all over the place. Empathy is really just putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, their point of view, really, really being present in their journey without judgment is the tricky part. We're very judgy, aren't we? So the judgment part, you can say, oh, well, you can once you leave a room and you behave empathetically, if you walk out and judge that person's choices, that's not real leadership, right? And then we talk about the employee experience. Because I have a belief to my core that when employees have a great experience, so does everybody else. And we've always focused on the customer experience. I think it's high time we focus on the employee experience. So I wrote the book because I really believe that everybody wants to matter. And if we as leaders do a better job at putting people first and caring about them and the life they're trying to create for their family, we're going to win. We're going to win because we're going to have the people we need to lead and grow our companies.
That's true. Yeah, that's very powerful. And you made a comment about kind of the ethical business and also being judgy and whatnot, and makes me think about one of the topics I'm very passionate about is privacy and protection. And
Mhm.
now with universal consent and GDRP in Europe, I've helped a lot of companies in California upgrade their privacy and different digital policies. And I'm interested on your thoughts on, what we're collecting, and I'll give you an example. So, what a lot of people don't realize is that depending on what state you're in, the employee also has the same rights as a consumer, and they could at any time execute their subject right request and ask to receive a copy of everything that you have on them. And that to me, like, makes a lot of sense. I'm a big proponent that, I know marketers are always the ones who are kind of anti, we've been the largest users and abusers of data. But I'm on the other side of that we don't want to talk to someone or waste our marketing resources on anyone who's uninterested. But
Hmm.
the flip side of that is for the employer. I think that we're now collecting so much information. And I recently had a hip replacement. And, they called me. The hospital calls me to go through my checklist. And like the last time they said to me, the last time you were here is when I delivered my baby 10 years ago. They said you identified as Caucasian. Is that still the case? And I was like, oh, that's a strange. Well, I'm like, yes, I still identify as Caucasian and going through these questions and I'm just answering them. But then I had to stop myself and think, why is that relevant to the care that I'm being provided? Right. And I think the same thing is when you are an employer, now if we're collecting their gender or their preference, or are they divorced? Or are they, now all of a sudden someone's up for a raise and there may not be any reason related to these items that they didn't get it. But now if they execute their right and we are holding that information, now there could be potential legal ramifications. And do we need to and should we? And is that ethical?
Wow. Big. Okay. Wow. Mic drop on that question. Um, I believe that we are going to have personal relationships in the workplace. So, yes, and so I agree with you. And if you feel comfortable, share. If you don't, don't. Trust is huge in the workplace. And there's a lot of work to be done around trust. So I know a lot, the person I met with just before I met with you, I know a lot about her and her family. She's been with me for 10 years. It's inescapable to not know that she's got 2 babies, and she's married and she's got 2 dogs and, I know a lot about her because we have a business relationship. I think it's in the intent with which you're going to use these things to, to help the person move forward as a leader versus hurt them. My father was an Irish immigrant and he only had a 6th grade education, but he was brilliant beyond anyone I've ever met before and since. And he used to say this phrase, if you can't help someone, don't hurt them. And maybe it's really that simple. I think I worry if people go too far. If the pendulum, oh my God, we have to protect, protect, protect. I hear in the employment world all the time, well, we can't, we've got to make sure we treat her and him exactly the same. I'm like, no, sameness isn't fairness. You're different. Like, you're a different human than I am, and I need something different than you do. So we're trying to cleanse the experience. It's so much so and protect yourselves, and I know you're a privacy gal, and I love that. But, I mean, so much so that we're removing the human connection, which is based on care, love, and kindness. And so I think the intention with if you collect something on somebody, what is the intention with which you're going to use that information? And I'm a high integrity human, and there's a lot of trust in my organization. So if you're going to do that, you've got to have a foundation of trust. And as Johnny Quinn would say, if you can't help them, don't hurt them. Because I think that your moral compass be your guide is really what I would how I think that. Because, the reality is you live in you're like more digital than I am. But you go to the airport, they they know everything. Everybody knows everything about you anyhow. As an author, and you're an author too, AI was like, it's already probably downloaded or books are probably already somewhere in the ether, and we put time and energy and love and sweat 9 months into each book. I feel like they're my babies. I have
Yeah.
one baby, 24 years old. But those books I gave birth to them, and I know people are if you're going to rip me off, go ahead.
Yeah.
You're going to I'd say how dare you? And why would you? And God bless you along the way because that's sad for you.
It is, and I think that you're right. I think maybe it is about this workplace, and I think that a lot of people, like, and even I, we respect authority, right? We both picked Forbes because of the authority behind it, right? And authority marketing, and people we know this, will trust certain authority figures or do what they say because they're above them, right? And I think that maybe that's part of it of the culture that, hey, if this isn't, you're going to work here. These are some of the questions we're going to ask you. You don't have to answer these questions, right? That's your right. And this is don't feel pressured. Like, we're not gonna, and that's part of it, maybe, of just changing the story.
Yeah, no, I do. I feel like uh, uh, I feel like it's always your choice. I mean, I might say this might be unpopular, but you know how people talk about my body, my choice all the time?
Yeah.
It is. It's like my body, my choice, my mind, my choice, my heart, my choice, not yours. So what I decide to share with you is should be open and a good flow, and it should be based on a trusting relationship. On LinkedIn, I'm a relationship builder voice person. I don't even know what it means. And I didn't even do it intentionally, but they picked up on some of the things the algorithms picked up on. Oh, this lady knows how to build relationships. Okay, great. So I think it's a really everybody has a different compass. We come from different places, and that's what makes our country so freaking cool. Aren't we lucky? Aren't we so lucky?
We are so lucky. And that actually, on that note, what are because of what's going on across the country, and some women now are not getting the choice, right, that they once had. What is the view of an organization in this piece? Because, here you have, you know, there's companies with lots of employees, and now all of a sudden they can't, if their health insurance covers birth control, they could be at risk. Or if they, like, how are we navigating? that as part of like, what's being mandated and how that doesn't like align with our corporate culture.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of mandates.
No.
Yeah, my my husband and son will tell you, if you try to tell me what to do, I'm gonna probably go in the other direction, right? I think we're kindred spirits in that regard. Um, so that's one, mandates don't work. We've gone through that. I think there's still a lot of choice. It's state by state now, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And full disclosure, I'm a pro-choice
Me too.
person. And, nobody understands anybody's circumstances other than their own. You know, it's their choice.
Yep.
And I think if it's your choice, you can find a situation that fits your needs. I've never, there's like lots of movement around the country, and I would be where I would feel most valued and where I could live my values. That would be important to me. I don't think it's a corporate thing. It's not a corporate responsibility. I think it's a we as employees choose who we work with and where we work. And the beauty of our country is you can move about the country. There's 50,000 people moving about the country to be in an environment they love. Like you're in Hawaii.
Yes.
You love it there.
I do.
I'm in Colorado. I live at 9,500 feet above sea level, but I am a scuba diver. So I'm like,
I love there's a lot of like association with Colorado and Hawaii. We are like, the 300 days of sunshine a year. There's I think there's a lot of similarities actually in,
you have an ocean.
yes,
I
Patriot Ocean.
I miss the ocean. So that's, I think, why I'm a scuba diver, so I can get, completely immersed for weeks in the water, and then I come to Colorado and I dry out. So, like, we choose, like, so you gotta be careful with that. It's a powerful word, right? So, it's always your choice.
Yeah.
Not like the government isn't making decisions for you. Your mom and dad aren't. I mean, leave that at the door. They did their best. Love them. The companies and you are responsible, for your character. You're responsible for how you lead your life. You're responsible for your values, your faith, your not faith, whatever. It's nobody's doing things to you. If
We
my
really
dad
see that there's not really like a rollover of when you're picking or you're doing this audit, you know, what are the companies, politics and these things don't really, I guess, really have that much of a people don't really have a concern there. It's not really like, oh,
you choose a company based on the people, and the people have beliefs,
right.
right? So when you're choosing a company for employees specifically who might be listening, dig into the beliefs and values of those people you're choosing to go to work with. And the same goes for the employers. There needs to be somewhat of alignment because that's where you're going to find more success for yourself and thrive to provide for your family. If you choose a organization that there's gonna be too much tension or you're fighting all the time against, something, that's exhausting, just
That's when you have the case of the Mondays every day, right?
the extended one is right. And there's so many I'm gonna tell the good news is there are more jobs than there are people to fulfill jobs right now.
That is shocking to me. Like, especially with it seems like after COVID, all of a sudden now no one wants to. I mean, where did all these people go? You know?
Well, women have opted out of the workplace a lot because they're caregivers, usually. They are the primary caregivers. Not saying men aren't caregivers, but they're usually primary caregivers to the children and to the elder care. And we have an elder situation going on right now. You know? So they're pulled, and so many companies are still traditionalists that you must come back to the office. About a third are saying you must come back to the office. You must work 8 to 5. You must, all these mandates versus meeting in the middle where, what will fit your life? Maybe working 9 to 3 and maybe in the morning you have time for your family here and your family there, and kind of being creative about this workforce. So the women have opted out. Then you have real people who have disabilities who can't work. There's only a 63% participation rate of those that are qualified to go to work. And so the jobs report comes out every single month. And last month, it was, tricky. And the numbers, it's going to come out this Friday. Last for October, it was 7.4 million open jobs, and there was about 6.8 million people to fulfill them.
Wow.
Not kidding. I mean, like, it's real number. Like, you can look it up. Check it
Yeah.
out.
Oh, yeah. I believe you. I mean, well, here in Hawaii, too, but there's I like to me and my mom and my daughter. We like to go to California Pizza Kitchen
Oh,
for
I
lunch.
see.
And we have one of the most busy ones here in Kahala Mall. It's like down there if you've been to Oahu. And there's all these tables, and they made a couple years ago before COVID, they had opened up a whole other wing of the restaurant. And
Yes.
but now, you will get there and you have to wait, but the entire restaurant's empty. My mom, she's Swedish and she's not someone who's very patient. It's like, what's going on? Like there's all these tables, but they don't have enough employees. And it's like, ongoing everywhere you go here, at least. I know it's paradise and we're different, but there's signs up everywhere
Mhm.
for employee, and we just thought it was really interesting, you
It
know.
is interesting, and there's also a lot of support right now. If you're not working, there's support systems in place at the moment. I don't know what's gonna give there, but I don't
Only
know.
time will tell, right?
Time will tell, my dear.
Well, I guess so for my final little question here for you is, for leaders, looking to create this empathy-driven workplace or change some of their conduct one of these audits. What's your recommendation for their next step?
Well, they certainly can reach out to me, Kathleen Quinn Votaw at TalentTrust.com. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm sure someplace else that I can't remember right now. Um, and obviously, you can find me through my new friend here, Anna. And we're here to help. And, on your journey, you also can find resources on our website that are free for you to download to take the first step. We have a talent and culture quiz that might be the first indicator of, uh-oh, I better look at something. And it's self-guided. So, and you get a report card so you can start the work on your own. So we're here to help, and I appreciate you having me here with you today.
I think it's been such a wonderful conversation. So, to learn more about Kathleen, as she just mentioned, you can visit her at KathleenQuinnVow.com or at Talent Trust or on LinkedIn. And please join me next week as I interview another industry expert in a topic to help you succeed on and offline. Aloha, and I'll see you in the pixels.